All right, so this is Erika Hood with the Center for Reducing Health Disparities, and I am here with another one of our community spotlights with a community organization that is near and dear to me, Neighborhood Leadership Institute, one of Cleveland's own and best grassroots organizations that I feel like I'm definitely a part of the family. So this is my family, and I want to introduce the fam today to our viewers. So Kevin, can you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Kevin McDaniel. I am the Executive Director of Neighborhood Leadership Institute.
And Michelle?
Hello, I'm Michelle Broome. I'm Manager of Community Education.
Nyla?
I am Nyla Muhammad. I'm the Neighborhood Navigation Liaison with the Healthy Communities Department at Neighborhood Leadership Institute.
And Marie?
Hi, I'm Marie Jones, and I'm the Director of Community Health Initiatives at Neighborhood Leadership Institute.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for doing this. I know that Neighborhood Leadership is always doing great things, so I wanted to take this opportunity just to share some of the great work that you all are doing, especially in the midst of what we're into now with the global pandemic, with unrest due to, racial unrest
Racism.
and all this stuff,
Absolutely.
racism.
Absolutely.
So
racism.
Call it
like
out.
it is. That's right.
Racism.
That's right.
Exactly.
So I want someone tell me a little bit more. Let's share with everyone a little bit about Neighborhood Leadership Institute, you guys' mission,
Sure.
and who you serve.
Yeah. So I'll start off with a little context, a little history. Neighborhood Leadership Institute actually began as a program NLC, Neighborhood Leadership Cleveland, actually predates Neighborhood Leadership Institute. So Neighborhood Leadership Cleveland, as Erika well knows, is a program that really provides an opportunity. I'll say this, our mission actually is, as an organization, we exist to develop grassroots leaders who help rebuild the bonds of community and improve the quality of life of neighborhood residents throughout Greater Cleveland. So that's the canned version, but let me just give you what that really means. What it means is that we work with neighborhood residents that are often already engaged and provide some information and skills to really for them to create a greater impact for themselves and for the folks that they love. And it actually began in 1994 as Neighborhood Leadership Cleveland. It was a program of NCA, and the folks don't know what NCA is. That was Neighborhood Centers Association. So great organizations such as Friendly Inn and Easton Neighborhood House and Lexington Bell, all those are what you would call settlement houses or neighborhood centers that provide great services to folk in our neighborhoods, whether that's seniors or daycare providers and all those other things. So some great minds back in the day, our founder, Don Slocum, and a few other folks said, instead of us just focusing on how we serve folks, let's try to work with folks so that they can actually feel empowered within the communities that they love so dearly and really kind of impact their actual voices. And so Neighborhood Leadership Cleveland was born. And so we've been actually providing Neighborhood Leadership Cleveland for 25 years, actually we're in our 26th year. And we have expanded with other services, as we'll talk about later, as some of these great people who are with me will talk about later. I hope that was enough.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of those services and what population you serve.
All right. So first of all, we serve folks throughout Cuyahoga County. So although a lot of our work happens in the city of Cleveland, we actually work with folks around Northeast Ohio. There are issues that are going on all over the place, whether that's Maple Heights or East Cleveland and various other areas. So we don't totally focus on Cleveland. We focus on servicing folks throughout Cuyahoga County. But I will let some of the folks that I brought with me actually talk about some of the programs that they have. Anybody can jump in.
Okay.
All right. Well, Healthy Communities is the newest component, so I guess we're starting a little backwards. Michelle is on, and she's got the most mature component of Neighborhood Leadership Institute. Healthy Communities is the newest component, and the base of our work is really to connect pregnant women to support and resources so that they can have a healthy birth outcome. We are also expanding the scope of work that we do, partnering with American Heart Association for the Healthy Kids Meal Policy, as well as doing some work with around Lead Safe, the Lead Safe Coalition, and also looking to simply expand the scope of work we do around health-related connection to support. So we've recently signed a contract to work with Better Health Partnership to be hub community health workers actually work with families in Cuyahoga County to get connected to support and resources. And so we are building our capacity to help Cleveland, to help Cuyahoga County get a little healthier.
We have actually within that, we have an amazing group of neighborhood navigators that are heavily connected to community. And I love working with them and seeing their passion. And they are out in the community in various ways, either physically, or a lot of them have very strong social media presences, and they are connecting pregnant women relentlessly to the services that they need.
That is awesome.
Awesome.
Michelle?
Oh, yeah. And so, as Kevin mentioned earlier, I have the honor of coordinating Neighborhood Leadership Cleveland, our flagship program.
Yay!
And yes, I am a graduate of class 19. And
I'm a graduate of class 22.
Class 33?
34.
That's
32,
right.
32.
All right.
So I'm the seasoned leader, class 19, probably about 17 years ago now, which is how I, got introduced to the Institute. And now I've been fortunate to coordinate the class for maybe a little over a year and a half. And primarily what I do is, like I said, coordinate all things Neighborhood Leadership Cleveland. We have a group of alumni who help to recruit folks to participate, and then setting up all 19 sessions of the class. Do I need to explain a little bit of the framework?
I'll chime in. We'll jump back and forth. So Neighborhood Leadership Cleveland is a 19-week class, right? And if you think about it, what we try to do is we try to first just provide information to the person about their strengths. So one of the things that a person would do is take an assessment. What are your personal strengths? What are your giftings that you're actually providing to the community? How can we sharpen your personal gifting? So you will take an assessment. We'll provide that assessment to you.
Yes.
In addition to that, things such as, how do you fund your neighborhood project? Can you get that funded? How do you fund it? We'll bring in guests to actually help you with that. How do you conduct a community meeting? A number of different issues there. How does state and local government affect your life? How does federal government affect your life? All those issues are addressed, and others, within that 19-week program.
Definitely. And what we find is that people who are already active in their communities may just need to connect with some other leaders. And so sometimes people will feel like they're, working alone, or, they don't have the means or the partnership that they need to really get their programs off the ground. And so this is an opportunity to both connect them to folks in their class who are other leaders, also a network of over 1,100 graduates of the program to connect them to, and really just kind of hone their skills, the skills that they already have, just to kind of sharpen those skills. And then, one other thing, in addition to the class, I am, working to re-engage those other graduates. And so folks who have been around some of our seasoned leaders who, are still doing great work, we want to definitely keep them connected to our graduates, definitely share and support what they're doing. And, of course, we want to promote what the Institute is doing, but we also want to promote what our wonderful alumni are doing, because they're doing some amazing work.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is. It's a lot. It's a great network. I know over the past few weeks, my class 32, the best class, of course.
If you say so.
34.
We were able to do a Zoom video call with one another and check in.
That's
we
great.
were all at home, so it was just great. And it just, folks who are invested in the community, the work never stops.
That's right.
It just
Yeah,
never
that's right.
stops, and it's just good to see all of that. So I'm going to shift now, because one of my observations were, while so many other organizations were shutting down, closing, workers were furloughed, you know, many of our grassroots folks and our people on the ground, we kept going. We just kept
That's right.
working. So how did the pandemic initially in March change or shift what you all were doing, whether it was internally with your staff and then like out to your programming?
Yeah. So I'll start with just NLI in general, then you guys can chime in with what you're doing when it comes to what's happened over COVID-19. So we have the privilege, one of the programs that's not with us right now is a program called True to You, which is a partnership between us, the Cleveland Foundation, Cleveland Metropolitan School District, and Greater Cleveland Partnership, where we assisting really kind of getting about 300 to 400 mentors to work with 8th graders each year in CMSD. So while we were working through that program, we started to notice, well, we had to watch for actually what the governor was saying around keeping schools open, et cetera. So early on, once we recognized not only that this was serious, but that we had to take care of our staff, actually had our staff begin working remotely like around March 12th. So we were early in the process of making sure that our staff, number one, had remote access, but began working remotely around that particular time. And so we shut down some programs that needed to actually have folks in-house, but so many of our programs, we actually shifted to this remote access, and we made sure that our Zoom membership was up and running. We expanded our Zoom membership. And so some of the things you've been seeing on social media is really our response, or actually our attempting to make sure that we stay connected to the folks that we had been working with prior. So I will actually start with Michelle, because I'm excited about how NLC has continued in the middle of this crisis. So Michelle could begin.
Okay.
For sure. Initially, it was rough because so much of what makes NLC so magical is the ability to sit with one another, to bounce ideas off of each other, you know, to disagree.
That's right. That's right.
And you know, just the camaraderie that happens in the room. And so initially it was, we just assumed that we would pause, and then we would, you know, maybe a month or a month and a half, we would all meet up again at Cleveland State. And again, so once we figured out that we weren't going to be meeting in person again at Cleveland State, we were able to reschedule the remaining sessions virtually. So we're using Zoom platform, and it has been really, really wonderful to see that number of folks still engaged, still wanting to participate, still, you know, still showing up every week. And we've really had a wonderful time. I want to say we started with 34 in this current class, and there are 31 participants who are still able to be engaged. A few decided to wait until next year because they enjoy being the in-person learning style, but 31 who are still able, still engaged, still showing up every day on Zoom. And yeah, it's been wonderful. So that's how we adjusted.
And if I could just shout out Michelle real quick, I haven't told her this in person, but I really admire how, see, some of this stuff just doesn't happen, you know. So, you know, we had 34 folks that we began with, we have 31. So how did that happen? Well, technology is part of it, but also we had a person making sure that folks didn't feel forgotten about, okay? So Michelle was calling folks, you know, keeping in contact with folks. Yeah, there you go. Emailing folks. But folks never felt that they were forgotten about. And I think that's one of the big things about this whole crisis. You know, having connection is real important. I think one thing about this period of time is I think folks know now the importance of connection. And so one thing I think was really powerful was folks never felt like we forgot about them in the middle of all of this, because, you know, we had staff that was contacting folks. And so when we turned things back on with Zoom, folks were right there. And let me also say this, a huge partner for us when it comes to NLC for the past 25 years has been Cleveland State University's College of Urban Affairs. And so
Yes.
they continue to walk with us through this. And so that's still a very powerful partner with us. So
For sure.
You know, that's good to hear. And then with the other programming, how have you, the neighborhood navigator? So it sounds to me that that's some folks that are out in the neighborhood, connecting with people face to face. How has that shifted these past couple of months?
You know, that was really when the shutdown first began. We actually were in the process of planning our first baby shower. Nyla had secured the location. We were so excited. We actually still have I think it's a waiting list. It was our waiting list of like over 70 pregnant women who had called to come to the baby shower. And we had canvassing tables in all of the job and family services locations because the navigators were out, like you were saying, Erika, out and connecting with people. So it was a big shift for us. But one of the things that I'm realizing in light of what we've had to do, that the physical distancing, and I liked physical distancing, but staying socially connected, because that whole lens has helped us transform social media in a way that provides a platform for us to stay connected. Because as you know, pregnant women are part of the most vulnerable population. So that becomes critical that they know that there's resources and support still available for them. The other component and Nyla's going to talk more detail because there's some really exciting stuff happening with with NLI's Healthy Communities Facebook page and lots of information for the whole family, not just for pregnant women. So it provided an avenue for us to expand the scope of our audience. But one of the other things that I'm just realizing as I'm talking to my wonderful co-workers, and as I call Erika, my wonderful fiery young sister in the work.
Yes.
One of the things I realize is that the base of the reason that Neighborhood Leadership Institute exists to build relationship, the bonds of unity, connection, for the purpose of a healthier community, relationship, health-wise, everything, has provided the platform for us to ease into a space of work because of the focus on building relationships.
That's right.
And Nyla's going to talk some more about the partnerships that we've developed, but because we were developing partnerships before COVID, and because we know the power of community, and I always say that we can teach a skill, but you cannot teach passion.
That's right.
And so
That's right.
We have connected with people who are very passionate, the navigators. I feel so humbled to be connected with people who are so passionate about helping their neighbor be healthy.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind, and it moves me in this administrative role to want to do everything that I can to clear a path for the fire that is in the belly of the navigators who are looking to make a difference individually in the lives of the people they serve, and then collectively in our community. And so I'm very grateful for the platform that Neighborhood Leadership Institute provides to be a springboard to do so many powerful things in relationship to community health and wellness. So Nyla's got the details of
and Nyla, before you jump in, I just want to say sometimes I see some of these situations. So life sometimes presents you with challenges and battles. And sometimes when you get through battling, you leave out with spoils of war, as you would say. And so I'm going to say this. I think this period of time with COVID-19 really has provided us an opportunity, another skill set that we have as an organization. We may not have used Zoom in the past before. We may not have done webinars in the past before. Yep. But the amount of participation that we've been getting on. We just had, within the last 2 weeks, we had a discussion with Center for Community Solutions and Jackie Gillen, who works for one of our local nonprofits, around state, local, and federal government and the impact of that of government on neighborhood residents. And I think to this particular point, we may have had close to 300, 400 views of that particular webinar. So the amount of reach that we have now when it comes to some of this work, I think has been tremendous for us, although we didn't expect it and didn't know that it was coming.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No apologies. It kind of just led into what I was going to say, because I had no idea that I was ever going to be on social media as much as I have. Previous, but it's a skill now. I'm learning more about the social media piece, and I always had like this love-hate relationship with social media, but now I'm really starting to appreciate how the amount of people that it reaches, and how, you know, anything can be used as a negative and anything can be used as a positive. You know, food is healthy, but too much food is bad, you know. But I mean, the ways in which people, especially now, have been searching for and looking for positive information via social media.
Yeah.
And we've been able to have a part of that. And so going back to the navigators, you know, our navigators prior to COVID had this amazing social media presence. And they had already been connecting with women via social media. And so just that within itself, they had platforms in which they were serving pregnant women. We have organizations like From One Mother to Another, who has been pounding the pavement for years, connecting pregnant women with the day-to-day commodities. And so her becoming a navigator just kind of heightened what she was already able to do. We participated in one of her giveaways in which she was working with women in the community and providing baskets for the women of the community. And she's also currently in the class, might I add. So she is an amazing woman who is one of our navigators, and also Pregnant with Possibilities, who has a mentoring program. They've been working with women since before becoming a navigator. So they had a social media presence. They had a strong community presence. And she's also a grad, Ms. Veranda Rogers.
That's right.
And Jasmine is also in the class. So NLI is connecting with so many community leaders, and, you know, honing in on those skills and taking them to another level, and being able to continue to serve pregnant women, just and actually adding another way in which they can service the community. And so, and what, you know, Marie was saying about our previous partnerships, even though, ironically, even though we had been working to create these partnerships prior to COVID, now, since it happened, it's interesting. We've kind of been working more together. You know, organizations have been reaching out because it wasn't just about what their organization could do. It was about what we all could do together to service the most vulnerable of our population. So places that had, you know, I had maybe had a dialogue with prior about what we did, and was like, oh, okay, that's wonderful. You know, when the time came, you know, the conversation was had and was like, you know, I can do this, you know, like looking at a plate. I can put this on the plate. Can you put this on the plate for this mom? And together, and then this person could put this on the plate for this mom, and together we can have a fuller plate for this mother. So that was something that kind of unexpectedly, you know, happened through this whole situation. And while it was that, so, you know, adding to that, you know, the social media piece, you know, we have definitely been working hard creating content to not only service pregnant women, as Marie said, but to service the entire family. You know, we recently did some outreach working with 1079. And so we did an interview with 1079, and that reached almost 3,000 people. And then in, you know, looking at families and realizing that they are sheltering in place, you know, they don't, you know, what kinds of things could these moms be experiencing? And so we've been creating content to kind of give some information, because everyone knows they're in the situation, but they may not know the solution. And so, you know, we recently had, you know, an interview with Dr. Fletcher about healthy relationships, and trying to have foresight about what people are going through right now. And if you're quarantining with your significant other, it may be a little stressed. So let's, you know, so we had a healthy relationships conversation to kind of give people some tools on how they can build a better with themselves, and not only themselves, but with the other person. And so I think that hit over 300 views. And myself and Michelle recently completed a interview regarding fitness. I myself personally have packed on some quarantine pounds.
Yeah.
I'm working to get them off right now, but you know,
we're gonna get them off.
We gonna get them off. But the thing is that being able to post content to give people that motivation, because when you're alone, you think you're alone, you know, when you're not, and just, you know, whatever age, whatever stage of life you're on, giving people that motivation that they can do something towards their health. And so we have an upcoming mental health conversation to kind of put on a table and have a conversation with a mental health specialist about the different things that have been going on socially in regards to racism and, you know, the deaths that have been going on, and people are not okay mentally, and all that while dealing with a pandemic, all that while whatever normal stuff you have going on in your life. Let's go ahead and do a mental health check-in. So, you know, we definitely have been, you know, having to change the way we've been doing some things, but still wanting to serve the community as best way we can.
That's right.
You kind of hit on two of my last questions, and that was, you know, the reaction of the community in dealing with the pandemic and dealing with all of this racial tension and the killings and everything being, so right now folks are at home. We've always had access for the most part, you know, social media had a captive audience, but now like everyone is kind of looking at social media all day. We're watching these news sources all day, so we're being inundated with not only data and statistics from COVID, but also videos and protests and our president and, you know, all this stuff. So, you know, we had a conversation early on, I think I mentioned it on a panel Kevin and I was on, how everybody is not quarantining the same. You know, COVID is not impacting everyone the same. So while some folks are ready to go outside, we have the Black community who is still being encouraged to stay distant and to be mindful and be careful, just because, you know, that the virus is impacting us in different ways than it is everybody else. So yeah, you just kind of hit on that for me. And then also, what does that mean for future programming? We've been doing so many things right, I think, in the midst of this pandemic, that we have circumstances that we have never seen before. And I know I'm so grateful just to work now without having to homeschool or, you know, help my kids through their schooling. I'm just, I feel like I'm on a little mini vacation just because I don't have that pressure. But I'm like, you know, how do we organizations, how do we hold on to some of this? Because it's really challenged staff to think in such an innovative way, in a creative way, and thinking outside the box. You know, I'm liking what I see from our organizations and from my colleagues. So how do we hold on to a little bit of this and take that into the future with this and do some things differently?
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
For the programming for the healthy community, some of this is going to be almost kind of normative move forward, because in the midst of this pandemic, we actually navigated more women than we have ever navigated before.
Wow.
I'm thinking, wow, it's a miracle.
Right.
So, and it really is a miracle. But to me, it says that, first of all, that people want to be connected, to support. And like Nyla said, the social media is an extremely powerful platform. And so we're motivated because we know we found a platform that actually helps us reach women. And we also know that beyond the platform, the social media platform itself, where Neighborhood Leadership Institute's social media platform, our partner relationships are profound. And the passion with which they engage in the community will help encourage us to nurture relationship. So we are compelled by that. The other piece, and I know Kevin is going to touch on this, one of the things, and I think I've only posted maybe 2 meditations on the healthy communities, but stopping to take time to ground yourself is extremely important. It is extremely important. We are so fragmented anyway because we move so fast and we're doing too many things. at once, or at least trying to, multitask, which I don't know that's a very healthy thing anymore. But we now have the opportunity to slow down and to pay attention. But we do need to find ways to ground ourselves, whatever the place of our spirituality, whatever that looks like for us. We need to connect. Yeah. Because we need to make sure that we are controlling the space that we are able to control. And that really is just simply part of us. I mean, we can't even control everything about us, but we can control something. So creating the space to make sure that we're grounded so that we are not swallowed up by sorrow or set on fire by rage.
That's right.
So that is really important.
Maria is so eloquent. I don't know how much I could really add to that. But what I would say, you asked about how do we keep this creativity going. One thing I love about our staff is, you know, the type of energy you see on this Zoom conference that we have right now is the energy we have on the telephone. And so we're always throwing out new ideas. Well, what if we do this? And what if we, so I'm one of those folks that I really want to hear from my staff. You're working with folks daily. Okay, because you work with folks daily, I want to hear from you. And let's see if I can provide you with the information and the tools and maybe get some things to support some of the ideas that you have. So I just encourage folks to be imaginative. I encourage folks to just think of the people that we serve. And I'm here really to provide some level of support to make sure that they accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. And going back to some of the self-care things that about, for many of our organizations that have been serving folks in the neighborhood, we've been well aware of a lot of the stuff that we are seeing right now. And folks, and I think sometimes I don't want to insult folks by acting as if I'm providing some new level of information on some of these issues that they haven't traversed in before. So I want to be, but I do want to say that, as Marie said, you know, this is a time that for many of us that have been talking about some of these issues for quite some time, this could be a very enraging time and a tiring time emotionally. Make sure that you get the time away to get some peace, because we need your mind to be strategic, and we need your mind to actually build upon the work that is going to need to be conducted coming up soon. And I will say this, we will be making some announcements this week. There's some things that we want to do to make sure that folks are informed beyond this moment. There's some great books that have been written around issues around disparity, whether that is The New Jim Crow or The Color of Law, so many different books. And I think it's time for us to get together and start building a depth of knowledge around some of these issues. Some folks have read these books before, some folks have not. So that when we start getting into the voting booth, we don't tell people how to vote. We simply are a community education organization to provide education. But I think it's important for folks to get together, share information, share the best documentation at this particular time, and then go out and take that same passion and be active, whether that's through the census or voting or whatever it may be. And so you'll be seeing some stuff from us pretty soon, still using the Zoom format, but making sure that we're still educating the community on various issues.
I love that. I love that. So I have two more questions. What do you want to share, a message that you may want to share to your community members? So folks who you haven't been able to see, hug up on, love up on. I know it's a very communal organization. You know, the space feels good when you go in. So
yeah,
what would you like to say to those folks that you don't see every day?
Well, something that I'm sure they're aware of, but just to reiterate it, we're here for you. We're still here. Whether it is supports that you may need, we have some folks doing mask projects, and we're collaborating with folks in the community working on their masks and things such as that. We're here. We've been supporting folks even as fiscal agents for grads. We're here for you. And if it's simply wanting to work with us to do powerful things in the community, we'll do whatever we can to support you in that endeavor. So we're here. That's the message. Anybody else?
Yes, you know, I think that I want to share that, you know, yes, we're here. And, you know, sometimes when you feel like you're by yourself and you need somebody to talk to, you know, I have, you know, even if you have an idea and you want to bounce something off somebody, you know, just know that, you know, that we're here and that we can have a dialogue with you. If you think you just want to talk about something like how, you know, how do I do this, or, you know, this, that, and the other, you know, I know myself personally, I'm here for that as well. You know, it's when you know, when you do think outside the box, thinking outside the box sometimes can be a lonely place. So, and in that process, you know, take care of yourself.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Put your mask on first, literally.
Right.
For real. I just wanted to add, you know, I'm riding this virtual wave for as long as I can ride it. I'm not, you know, nowhere near as tech savvy as I could be, but I'm certainly more today than I was 3 months ago. And so for our alumni and for friends of the Institute, people who might be interested in the programming, we are offering, as Kevin mentioned a little earlier, some virtual offerings that, you know, we want people to be aware of, that you can join in. Certainly we want to, you know, it's open to our alumni, but people who are interested in the programming, you know, we've always been a place that we welcome community folks. Again, just because you're not a graduate yet doesn't mean that you cannot get any information that you need to also work in your community. So however, whatever way we can reach folks virtually, you know, until we get back, that'll be what we're doing. So.
And I know Marie probably wants to say something, but let me just say this. I was playing around. I didn't say this directly, but let me just put this out there. Folks will hear it with you first. Be on the lookout on Friday. We're going to put something out. We're going to actually start having book clubs, virtual book clubs. So yes. And the first book that we're going to start off with is The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. Absolutely. I think it's time for us to arm ourselves. So for some folks may have read the book before. It has a different tone when you read it with others. And so be on the lookout, go to our website. We'll start putting out information about it on Friday. You can't find it there yet, but on Friday, we're gonna start putting information out. It'll be on Tuesday evening, starting June 30th at 7 p.m. We have 2 of our grads that will facilitate that discussion. One of which is actually a teacher in the Cleveland schools. And oh yeah, yes, I see you looking. You're trying to figure out who.
Right.
You probably know who. But it's the beginning. I'll say this. We have been, I think folks from the community trust us with information, and we are a community education organization. And so we're going to begin that process. It'll be the first of a number of books that we'll read together. And so as many people as can sign up, and we'll make accommodations as the number grows. So
can we invite people?
Yeah, yes you can. Yes you can.
I love it. And then my last question for you guys.
Okay, wait, I want to say
Marie.
But so this is my parting insight. We are at a critical juncture in history, and we need to keep ourselves grounded, encouraged, and connected and informed so that we can collectively make decisions that will move us forward. Dealing with the racism, dealing with all of the fallout from the systems that have oppressed for 400 years. So please don't faint. Please don't faint.
That's right.
Get grounded, get refreshed, get with your brothers and sisters that help to encourage and inform and just love you so that you can be ready to bring what you bring, because everybody's got a gift. And we need all gifts on board. We need all hands on deck. We need every part to do their component of moving this issue of equity and justice forward. We need us all, and we need us healthy and well. So take care of yourself so that you can care for your family and your community. We're at a critical juncture in history, so let's not faint now.
I know, right?
That's our pastor right there.
Right. Yes, amen.
That's right.
So you mentioned baby shower. I know you guys are going to be working with moms as a part of the structure programming for the community health component. So how can folks volunteer? I mean, well, not volunteer necessarily, but maybe donations. Is there someone to reach out to if folks want to donate some items or masks or anything?
Nyla is the community liaison.
Okay.
She's the connection.
Okay, Nyla.
Yeah, so I mean, you need me to say my phone number, email address?
Sure.
Oh, for real, you do? Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Yes, if there's any way that somebody wants to donate to help, if they have an idea, you know, whatever it is, you know, we will be having some things coming up in the near future. So they can contact me at area code 216-644-6552. And if they just want to maybe even shoot me a message or just say, you know, I had some items, you know, we work with, you know, or, you know, ideas or however it is they want to service moms, you know, we have organizations that are doing different things. And if they can't necessarily work directly with us per se, then they may need some assistance. So, you know, we'll figure something out. Even if it's not today, it'll be eventually. And then also my email, Nyla, NAILAH, @neighborhoodleadership.org.
Love it.
And then if they know any pregnant women, they can also reach out to me as well.
That's right.
Yes. So if you are watching this and pregnant and
Shameless plug.
connected to resources, reach out to Nyla so you can get connected. I know it could be a difficult time to be pregnant right now.
Yes,
absolutely.
So definitely do not hesitate to reach out and get connected with you all for some resources and some love, for sure.
That's right.
You'd be surprised, even though we're physically distant, you'd be surprised how a telephone call has really helped people.
Yeah.
So even being able to have them talk to their doula, to their health worker, to, you know, someone that can get them some clothes, you know, the relief that you can hear over the phone is unreal.
I love y'all. I love what y'all do. And I'm always
love you too.
so grateful to be a part of this network. And I just appreciate you all. And we'll post this to our page and I'll share the link so you can post it. So we can use all the virtual outlets and platforms that we have to make sure the word gets out.
That's right.
Thank
you for bringing us on. Thank you for giving us this platform.
Thank you.
Love
you, Erika.
All right, take care now.
All right, see you guys.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Bye.